Hello!
Hello!
Holy shit, Denver Founders Network, welcome! Nice, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for coming out. So explain Bigger Pockets in just a nutshell.
Bigger Pockets is the social network, information platform, and hub for real estate investors.
So that's not really short. Shit, usually I say that, it's like, okay, here we go. That's
Let's make it snap.
yeah, that is pretty quick. So, what does that mean? So, I want to invest in investment commercial or investment home real estate.
So we pretty much cover, and the definition of who we cover changes over time. But you know, and I don't know if you want the kind of how we got founded and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think the next question.
Okay, so whether you're looking to buy your first investment property, whether you're looking to buy, a large commercial property, we pretty much work and help. We help means the community helps, the site helps anybody and everybody up into the what's the word? I'm so nervous. I can't think of the word.
I just forgot the word residential.
I'm trying to think of the word.
Big enterprise.
Like an
Office buildings.
big White House. What's the word?
Skyscrapers.
Just small and mid-sized investors. How about that?
There you go. Okay. So I decided.
Very scary up here, guys.
I know.
Look at this guy.
I'm super intimidated. So I want to buy my first residential property, and I think that, or you know what, I'm about to sell my house. I think, maybe I want to sell my house. Maybe I want to rent my house out and buy another property. How would Bigger Pockets help me?
Okay, so we've got Bigger Pockets. What's the composition of Bigger Pockets? Let's just kind of start with that. At our hub, we are a community. So that community takes the form of a forum and a social network. Our forums, in terms of membership, we've got 440,000 members around the country and the globe. So these folks are connecting through the social network. They're connecting through the forums. We get about 2,500 to 3,000 forum posts a day. It's everything from, hey, I'm just getting started in real estate. What do I do to I'm about to buy a 300-unit apartment building, and I'm having a problem trying to figure out how do we convert the gadget to a gadget, and what do I need to? Yeah, I mean, it's anything and everything. Our community is coming in and they're asking questions and they're answering them. So we've got this amazing democratization of real estate investing information. And when I talk about the founding of the site, I think you'll get an understanding why that matters so much for us and why it's allowed us to grow. So we've got that community at the hub. On the other side, we put out a ton of content. So we've decided, and this was a genesis over many years. By the way, we've been in business for 11 plus years now. That we want to put out the best content on the planet about real estate investing and everything within it. And so by doing that, we didn't just decide we're going to do it and not do it. We decided we were going to do it, and we actually did. We put out the best content on the planet for real estate investors, and that's attracted a ton of people.
Why, when you were starting into the content game, content marketing was not really a thing.
Didn't exist.
Yeah, so what was that notion around? Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I thought I'd join the conversation.
Yeah. What's up, John?
Why did you decide to get into the whole content game before content was cool?
So again, and when I talk about how it got founded and whatnot, we'll kind of dig in a little more. But I've always been somebody who believes that you should, in order to win, you have to test. And we've become far more regimented in that in recent years. But testing means trying stuff. It means testing shit out. I mean, it's how do we look at our business and say, how big can we make it? How big do we want to make it? Where do we want to go with this company? And when I was in those, at least at the point when we started content, it was, I know that I need to attract users to this platform. at the time it was really just, this forum. I need to attract users to this forum. How do I do it? Well, I just heard about this guy named Will Wheaton. Do you guys know Will Wheaton? Will Wheaton? Okay. Wesley Crusher, does that help? Okay. Anyway, Will Wheaton was like one of the first nerd bloggers. He was out there, he was blogging, and everybody's like, oh yeah, great, really cool. And then all these people were blogging about cats and stuff. And then there was this emergence of a few handfuls at most. And one of the early real estate bloggers is actually here, Justin McCood, somewhere in the back there, unless he bolted. He's getting up here. So there were not a lot of these guys, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We're like, hey, all right, cool, blogging's cool. Let's just put out some content and see what happens. That's how we started blogging. That's how we started our podcast. That's how we started our publishing business. That's how we started a whole lot of stuff is, hey, this looks like an interesting place to bring new users to our brand. Let's just try that. And so I didn't know what I was doing. My first blog post was 10 years ago, and it was literally, I said, great article in the Denver Post, or whatever it wasn't the Denver Post, and I just copied and pasted a quote from the article. That was pretty cool, right? It was good, very good. Yeah, it was good content. I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't know what we were doing. There was no pro blogger back then. There was no instruction manual on how to do this. So we had to learn how to do it. We had to figure it out. And so there was this community, and we were just we're all just testing stuff out. What do we do? Is there a frequency? Before the rules were formalized, we were kind of testing the waters. And I think that's been a pattern that we've repeated over and over in various niches. Again, with the goal at the end of the day being, I want to build this into a badass brand, and in order to do that, I need to be as broad as I can. I can't just rely on having, just this community to attract the community. I got to find other ways to bring people in.
So I want to hear about the founding, and we talked a little bit about it. It's a really incredible story, but I think the best way to frame up this question is tell me where you are today. How many employees?
So we are employees and contractors. We're 19. We'll be 21, I believe, next week. And
how much venture money have you taken?
We've taken, I think, 43 million. No, we've taken $0.
$0. So you've taken, you're 19 employees now, you've taken exactly $0.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which is, that I think frames up kind of the genesis story. So tell me about how you decided to found this company. It's been 11 years. 11 years of a company. So talk about, it's hard, we could talk about 11 years, I know, for the next hour, but in the next 5 minutes, tell us about
I got a question for Josh here. When you founded this, was this during Denver Open Coffee?
So I was at, I think, the first Denver Open, no, I was at the first Boulder Open Coffee.
Okay.
I remember that. No, I found it before I was in Denver.
Okay.
You were in California.
I was in Cali. So here's I'm going to make it as fast as possible. I've had a lot of practice at this. All right. So I was living in California. If you Google me, you'll find out all about the whole path before this. But I built websites in college. I was in the entertainment business. I was a prop trader. I did all sorts of random crap. I was an entrepreneur at heart. I'd gotten a real estate license to sell real estate. Hated that. All sorts of things, right? I taught special ed. I'm going to get there. So got a substitute teaching credential while living in California just to make some cash because I needed it. And I was dating a girl at the time who today is my lovely wife, Julie. Sadly, she's not here. I get a gig working at a special ed school, and that gig was come in and substitute for a day. I came in to substitute teach, and this is at a special ed school, mind you. And I walk into the classroom, and the first thing that happens is this kid walks up to the water cooler and starts humping it. No shit, no bullshit. This kid starts humping. I'm like,
this reminds me of my office.
Yeah. So this is my first experience at this job. I'm like, oh my god, what am I in for? Oh, by the way, the teacher I was subbing for decided later that day to quit. Oh yeah, remember, this is my girlfriend. So, was I able to get out of this job? No. I was locked in. 4 years later, I finally got out. But I'm teaching. I'm now a full-time teacher at a special ed school, which, by the way, turned out to be one of the greatest experiences of my life. It was amazing changing, getting to help people change their lives was unbelievable. But while I'm doing this, just like that, am I too loud? Check. While I'm doing that, while I'm doing that, my brother reaches out to me and says, "Hey Josh, why don't we? I just started buying some real estate. I think you should buy some property." I said, "Okay, well, I've got a little bit of money now. Let me go pick up some rental property." I didn't know my head from my ass. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I'm a smart guy. I'm going to buy some property. Cool. So I bought property thousands of miles away, which was a really smart move for somebody who's never done it before. Don't do that. And I really quickly got into trouble. And we're not like, we're talking trouble like, hey, I've got tenants who are doing all sorts of things that aren't good, police showing up, and I'm thousands of miles away. So I can't do anything. I have to rely on these managers to help me out. Well, guess what? I don't know how to manage a manager. I don't know anything. I thought I was smart enough to get by on just sheer intelligence without knowing the business. Well, that's really stupid. And so I stupidly ended up acquiring properties, and millions of people do this every year, by the way. And millions of people find themselves in trouble similarly every year. Hopefully they're not doing it as much because of bigger pockets, but I'm now in trouble, I'm losing money, and I'm trying to figure out what do I do? So I looked at the landscape and I realized that I can buy some books, I could go online, or I can get a course, and I stopped and I was like, wait a second. Everybody offering information, everybody offering to help and teach and all this stuff, they've got a little racket going on here. This free information is actually kind of a pitch for this free course. This free course is actually a pitch for this free boot camp. By the way, the free course, you don't really get any information. You got to go to the free boot camp to get a little bit more. You go to the free boot camp. Oh yeah, you don't really get enough information to get anywhere. So now you got to go to the $997 training. You go to the $997 training, and they teach you how to call your credit card company and raise your credit limit, so you have enough money to buy the $5,000 training, which eventually leads up to the, epic $75,000 one-on-one training, which oftentimes is not actually one-on-one with the person that you think you're getting one-on-one training from. This is the information business in the real estate space. This was the information business in the real estate space, and this is the information business in a whole lot of verticals.
I was going to say, is that feels, you guys have sort of made a dent in that?
Okay.
It still exists, right?
It still exists, but there's been, I think we've made a dent. And that feels really good. So I saw this and I said, hey, I'm a good New Yorker. My bullshit-o-meter is like, off the charts from all these guys. I don't trust anything. I don't want to get into it. I don't know what I'm going to get into. So, I've been building websites in college. It's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to build a community so I can get answers for myself. So, I'm teaching high school, and during lunch, nights and weekends, I'm building this, I got an open source PHP BB board. I put it up on the domain that I owned and started to do, just straight up HTML resource pages. And I started going to figure out how do I attract people to this website. Oh, by the way, there was no rule book on how to get people to your website. That didn't exist. That predated all that stuff. 04. This was 04. So, today we're like, Facebook marketing, yeah. Back then, this was like MySpace a year or two later was the hot thing. So, yeah, dinosaur, right?
That, you guys can look that up. Yeah, MySpace was a thing.
And so I'll really quickly walk us from then to today, and then keep asking questions. So I did that. I hired a company, an outsource firm. There's a guy in the States, and he had a team in India. And hey, MySpace was hot. I'm like, oh, let's turn this thing into this MySpace. This is a great idea. Let's transform it. Let's build it into more from a forum to a social network. And we, I drafted it up. I designed it. Did all this stuff. I didn't really know how to code. I was a hack. So I'm hiring people to code, and I can't really oversee their work. which is really scary and turned out to be a very bad idea. After, 15, 20 grand later, and many, many months, I got back this website. That completely didn't work.
Just, how many people have done that? I've done that. You done that? Anybody? Right? Okay. You're in good company. Right. So, almost every startup guy I know or gal I know that's been around for more than 4 or 5 years has done that once. I just built a $20,000 website that fucking sucks. It doesn't work.
It didn't work at all. So had to throw it all away. By the way, that was maybe the second or third time I was ready to quit.
Were you monetizing at this point, or was this on your credit card?
I've spent, if you did the math, maybe $30 to start this business. That was probably the first few months of hosting, and ultimately started to monetize with AdSense. And so, we're now probably 2 years in. I'd made enough money to actually do this. So beyond that, I never took any money out of it.
So you paralleled your teaching job and this 2 years plus?
I did this for about a little over 2 years while I was teaching.
And this is one of the things we talk about a lot with this group is so now you've got this website that doesn't work.
Well, it did work. So I never actually activated the broken site. They just gave it to me and I'm like, oh, this is a piece of shit. Okay. What, should I just quit and go home and cry? And
so you reached this inflection point and said, should I quit or should I keep going? What made you decide to keep going?
Because I'm stupid.
That's a fair.
I mean, I will readily say that there were many points where I probably should have quit. And the only reason I had a kick-ass business is because I was too stupid to quit.
We say too dumb to quit.
I say stupid. Yeah, say dumb.
That's okay.
Yeah,
we'll agree.
I like it. So I was too dumb to quit. And I was like, you know what? A lot of it was pride, a lot of it was ego. I didn't want to lose. I had built this thing. I thought it was awesome. And I was like, oh, this sucks. What the hell do I do? I just spent all this money and, my heart's broken. I put all my love into this. I thought this was going to change my life. And now I'm broke, at least from a corporate sense, from a company sense. And I don't know what to do. By the way, the company is a company of one at this point still. So I don't know what to do. My wife's got a good job. What do I do?
You're still teaching.
I was teaching somewhere in there. I don't know the exact dates, but at about 2 years, maybe I just stopped teaching. Maybe I was still teaching. It was somewhere in there.
So this was that inflection point. Oh wow, that sucks. Yeah. So that was the inflection point where you're like, I'm ready to quit my day job. I'm ready to launch the new site. That's a double kick in the nuts.
Kick in the nuts, yeah. It hurt.
Yeah, that sucks. Okay, so you're too dumb to quit. What was the next iteration?
Do you keep wanting to say that? I mean, I've got a feeling to say that. So at that point, imagine what that feels like. The 3 people who raise their hands and who've experienced this in here, maybe there's more who were too ashamed to do it. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And so I went through this period of mourning and then said, I'm not going to lose. Which, by the way, I've probably gone through 20 times since then. And so I just kind of put my shirt back on and said, I'm going to figure out another way to do this. I had spent all this money. I didn't have the money to do it again the way I wanted to. So how do I get the same result, but without having the resources to get it? And so I realized that I didn't have to do it at once. I can do it piecemeal. I think they call it lean startup today.
So yeah. You were content marketing before content marketing was cool, and you were lean startup before lean startup was cool.
I didn't know what the hell any of that stuff was. Yeah, I had no idea. Which today I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
What year was this roughly?
This is 06.
Right. That's well predated the whole lean startup.
Yeah. So I lean startup, meaning, all right, I've got a forum. I want to build a social network. I want all these tools built onto this thing. Let me start with one thing. What one thing can I build that will help me take this forum to become something better than everyone else in my space is doing? and that was to create profiles. So let me hire out somebody just to code up profiles. We can build these cool custom profiles. That's not the PHP thing. And so I went and I was like, oh, how do I do this? What do I do? Oh, there's this cool language that's coming out. It's called Ruby on Rails. And maybe I should build in that. So I was like, all right, let me go find a Ruby on Rails guy. I found this website. It's called Odesk today, which is called Upwork. And I hired a guy to build these profiles in Ruby on Rails. By the way, the entire rest of the platform was built in PHP. And I didn't know any better to know that that's not a really good idea.
Right, I'm seeing a few technical friends in here cringing.
So that was kind of, okay, let's piecemeal. And it turned out to be a really good idea. And it was a bad idea because, you're crossing two languages and it was a hot mess, but ultimately, little by little, we began to convert. We built the forums, we built the blog platform, we built the profiles, we built the blog platform, we took our forums, we actually custom built our own forums because we didn't feel like any of the open source stuff did the things that we wanted to do. And little by little, started to build out this Ruby on Rails site. So now, year 2 till year 8, Bigger Pockets was this guy and one developer.
That's a long time.
8 years.
In your basement.
I sat in my basement on my couch and everywhere else, and I had a developer, and we slaved away. Really, at first, and I like to think of the lifeline of Bigger Pockets as a multi-phase lifeline, starting with hobby. First, really, it was a hobby. The intent was not to build this business. It was like, hey, I'm going to build some cool stuff because I need it, right? Solve a need for myself. But then it's like, oh, I can make some money with this. Cool. Lifestyle business phase, right? That's a good phase, lifestyle business, right?
Just largely a myth.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a myth at first. It was, I had a pretty cool lifestyle. I was sitting on the couch in my underwear, I was hanging out, it was pretty badass. I was going out, my friends would talk shit about like, hey Josh, I'm gonna send you a penny, because I know you can use it. and
yeah, no, seriously, I can't.
And the next phase was lifestyle business to I have no goddamn life business, which is where
that's a big inflection point because you were doing this at least at first because you wanted to sit on your couch in your underpants.
Correct.
And then suddenly, just the two of you, this monster had taken over any free time you had, right?
Correct. So I've got first or second kids, wife, house. I still have one developer, and the site keeps growing. We're kicking ass with content marketing. We're kicking ass with all this stuff. We're growing this whole platform, and he's doing an amazing job coding all these crazy ideas that I have. And now I have to handle customer service, marketing, PR, content, advertising. I'm doing 23 jobs, he's doing one amazing, and I'm doing a half-assed job of 23 other jobs. And I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week. And by the way, this is well after some of the smarter people in Colorado have said, Josh, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you shut this business down there? And I said, well, because it's going to be something amazing and I'm going to change, this entire industry because I'm so freaking stubborn or too stupid to quit.
But let's
which will be the title of my book.
Mine's going to be Lessons of a Fuck Up for the record.
I like that name.
But you were getting advice of this company in the middle.
Yes.
And you were giving people, smart people, I'm sure.
Oh, very smart people.
What was that advice founded on? I mean,
that advice was founded on these people are some of the richest people in the state, some of the smartest people in the state of Colorado, and they know a hell of a lot more than I knew. And by the way, I was really insulted and really hurt, and I was like, fuck those guys, what do they know? I know this thing can do something. I'm not going to let them tell me that I'm, again, stubborn son of a bitch that I am. I didn't, that stuff fires me up. I'm like, I'm going to find a way to prove them or everybody else, everybody who picked on me when I was a kid.
Yeah, but that's this crazy moment, and this is a universal truth about starting a company, is that if you start a company, somebody's going to tell you you can't do it.
Absolutely.
And so when somebody tells you you can't do it, there are those people who are like, fuck, they're right. I'm not going to do it. And there's people like you who's like, fuck them.
Right.
And somewhere in between is this truth of, well, maybe there's feedback in there. Did you learn that along the way?
So what I realized was I needed to listen to them. There was some truth to what they were saying. And I wasn't yet smart enough to understand how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So everything kind of came to a head. We're in year 8. I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week. And
if you don't mind me asking, how's your family relationships?
phenomenal. Well, my family still came first. I mean, I work from home, so I got to raise my kids. I cleaned the diapers. I was up and yeah, phenomenal. In retrospect, it was phenomenal, but I was around my family, but I wasn't present. So phenomenal is kind of a lie that I tell myself. But I was there, but I wasn't fully present.
When I was going through the tough stuff in my startup, I was physically there, and I would tell myself, I'm physically present, but I was never mentally present.
Correct. So I think I was halfway. Anything important I was there for sure. I went to every activity, every event, but I would stay up till crazy hours working my ass off. Anyway, so I'm getting to this point. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. It's exhausting, and I realize I need to change. So what am I going to do? What am I going to change? I couldn't figure it out on my own. I was in too deep, right? I was in the business. My head was down. I'm doing all this day-to-day shit, and I didn't know how to change anything. And I realized I really only have a few choices left. I'm going to burn out and die. I'm going to...
And that's not hyperbole at that moment.
No, I was... In the moment, you feel awful. I've cried many, many tears with my wife. Hey, should we shut down? I will support you. If you want to shut it down, let's shut it down. We'll figure something else out. Awesome. Instead, I said, what can I do to make a change? I realized I couldn't make a change on my own. So I found somebody, and I hired a consultant. And I hired this consultant to come in and look at the business and look at the product side and say, hey, are we doing everything right on the product side? Have I overcomplicated this? Is this thing just too big? And then the other part of the puzzle was, let's look at the business itself and figure out how Josh can transform this so he's not, pulling his hair out working 100 hours a week. Weeks and weeks of working together, and it culminated in a bunch of days down in Texas, shooting some guns, hanging out, and that was fun.
Those are my people.
Yeah, it was good. And then, we decided we're going to cut back a bunch of the product. We're going to, trim down the website, really narrow focus, and you're going to hire somebody now. And if you do not hire somebody now, you're going to sell or shut down this business. And that was the challenge. And I said, okay, I'll hire, but who the hell am I going to hire?
Right, which one of my 20 roles am I going to play?
Right. And that was probably one of the scary moments, and also one of the most exciting moments, because I finally saw the light. I saw the opportunity. I had outsiders telling me, hey, you can make a change, you can transform this. Here's how. And so that first non-technical hire turned out to be the guy to take over content for me. Some context, the guy was a member of the community who, in the course of the years of being part of the community, had become independently wealthy because of our platform, did not need to work a job ever again in his life, owes all of his real estate success to Bigger Pockets, writes for us as a blogger, and is in love with Bigger Pockets, and said, I want to work for you. What can I do? And so we dated for a lack of a better word, for the next couple of weeks because I didn't know how to hire anybody. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, can I trust this guy with, with my baby? Can I trust him with this stuff? What do I do? And my God, that was probably one of the greatest moments of my life in retrospect. At the time, it was scary and, there was a lot of, figuring out. But when we look back, we say, holy smokes, that was transformation. That was the point when Bigger Pockets went from lifestyle to lifeless to a business. That's when we became a company.
We've got a company. I want to open it up to you guys, so think about the questions you want to ask next. But so just take us from that moment. It feels like it's a company. Fast forward to today.
Yep.
We've got a
I'll do it really fast.
business, and tons of stuff have happened, obviously, because that's been
3 years.
3 years. What you moved to Denver before that?
8 years.
8 years. Okay, so you were in your basement in Denver for all
Yes.
that. And then so those 3 years. Give me sort of a synopsis of those 3 years.
Those 3 years looked like this. Hired employee, I gotta get out of my basement. Come hang out and galvanize. Woohoo! Go hang out and thrive. Yeah. Hiring more and more employees, building up. We went from I'm doing everything to I'm now trusting that there are people out there who can do an amazing job to I need to be a study of running a company.
I think that would be my next biggest question, and I promise that. This last
Raise your hand if you have questions, and we'll get to
Sorry for talking to you.
Yeah, but no, the last question is that you started off as a lifestyle business, and now you're a CEO, which is a very different set of skills, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did that transition?
Okay, so I realize I have to now manage people, and I don't know how to manage people. And like everything else that we've tried and attempted, I want to be the best at what I'm doing. So
you've been working alone in a basement for
years.
7 years.
Yeah. Oh, this is what a person looks like. I get to put hands on.
That's important context.
No, it is. Yeah, it's really important. And so, for me, again, I'm a study of anything and everything that I do. Really fast. I was in the entertainment business. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to get into Hollywood. I wanted to learn all this stuff. So instead of going and going to Hollywood, I went and I started doing extra work on student films. So that's like being the janitor of like the garbage dump. That's what I did because I wanted to learn the garbage business. I wanted to learn the entertainment business. I needed to learn from the ground up. So that has followed me throughout everything that I've done, and I still do that. So we wanted to get into publishing. I wanted to become a study of publishing, learn how to become an independent publisher, and today we're one of the biggest real estate publishers. Podcast, same thing. Business, I'm now a CEO. I need to get out and learn how to be a CEO. So I'm voraciously reading every damn article on how to be a CEO. I'm trying to figure it out. Today I've got a coach that I work with who's helping me. I'm constantly analyzing, what do I suck at? What do I suck at, and how do I change that? Because you know what? If you don't think you suck, then you're lying to yourself. Because we all suck at something. And we probably all suck at part of our jobs too, and if we do, then we should probably outsource that to people who are really good at it. And I've always heard that, hey, you want to hire people smarter than you want to. So that's what I started doing for me. To hire people smarter than you? Oh yeah, that's easy. But no, Sky. But yeah, so I'm a studier. Like right now, I think one of my biggest weaknesses is in strategy. So I've gone and I'm working on learning how to become a better strategist. I've got a whole library of books that I'm working on, and we're constantly reading articles, constantly talking to other CEOs and people that I know what they're doing. And I want to become one of the preeminent strategists out there. And I have that same thought process with my staff. I've got 2 of my guys here, and I want them to be the top of their craft, period. And I want that for all of my employees. I want us to be constantly improving, because if my sales guy is one of the best sales guys on the planet, if my UX guy is one of the best UX, we got a pretty kick-ass company. Oh, and by the way, we got a pretty kick-ass company.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, questions? Yeah, in the back. Go.
Yeah, so two things. First off, thanks for making me feel less shitty about spending $25.
Yeah, that's well done.
Because I was beating myself up pretty hard on that.
Yeah.
But can you touch on a little bit how you have monetized your business?
Yeah, so I'm going to restate questions just for the recording. How do you monetize? How do you monetize business? In a kind of an interesting follow-up is, how has that changed, right?
Yeah. Okay, so in the very beginning it was, hey, I've got this website, cool, can I make some money, just on the side? So let me slap on some Google ads. Oh, by the way, that's really cool and really effective if you can garner traffic. So I started with Google ads. I realized that I could make a little bit more money if I would personally go out there and sell those ads to people. I can sell them at a higher rate. We had initiated a newsletter, so I can now start selling advertisements in the newsletter. So our first revenue sources were advertising. We've got the social network, a place where people can go connect, interact. And the idea was, we do not want to ever charge for content. We do not want to charge for content because
that takes you down.
That takes us back to those guys again, right? We become one of them. So we were never going to do that, but we had, in order to be a sustainable business, we had to make money. And advertising here, I used to make like $75 CPMs. For those of you who don't know, that's $75 for every 1,000 ad impressions. Today that's $4 or $5. And we're in a really good vertical, so for certain sites it's a nickel. So I realized that we had to expand or we'd die. We bleed to death. And so how can we create maybe a way to monetize our membership? So we started to create tools within the membership where users would pay to access the tools, but not the content, right? So content's got to be free, but tools and other stuff, they can pay for it. So now we've got paid memberships, 2 tiers of paid membership. Started making a little bit of money from that. We launched a publishing business. So we have 5 books in our physical books in our library. We've got a number of additional books beyond that. And yes, we kind of violate the we're not going to sell content thing with the books. But I could deal with the hypocrisy because, frankly, books they make the world go round, and I can't say enough about books. And frankly, our books, we want to write the best books in class, and we have. So, we price them like books. We don't price them at $97. We price them like books. And, so publishing, advertising, partnerships, and we're getting better at lead gen now. So we're really starting to dive into the lead gen business. But we don't want to be relying upon one source of revenue, because if something happens, and I'll tell a really quick story on that. Google, we rely on Google traffic for SEO for a lot of our traffic. And back in the day, Google was like, hey, by the way, you have this thing called text link ads on your website. And for those of you who knew what that was, it predated SEO. It predated like the industry of SEO, and it was we needed to make money. We can sell links on our site. That's pretty cool. Well, guess what? Google decided one day, hey, anybody who sells links on their site, we're going to beat the shit out of them, and we're going to de-rank all your stuff. So we went from getting all this traffic to, we got slapped down. That was the first Google slap. I've had many others. The most recent was actually this November. We just got slapped.
Did you get the landing page slap?
No, we got a quality slap because basically we've got the social network, lots of dynamic content, and so we have pages, empty profiles that are ranking that don't have they call it thin content. And our goal isn't to game Google. It's just this is part and parcel of how things are going. So you're constantly fighting mega Google. You're fighting all these things. So for me, I don't want to rely on one stream of revenue. I don't want to rely on one stream of traffic. I want to be. I really want to be spread out, right, as much as possible. Can't think of the word. Diversified. I want to be diversified. This guy is my thesaurus.
So, by the way, just for the record, for people who don't know, I don't know that I ever have sat next to, at least on stage, somebody who's a top 10 overall podcast.
No, that's a lie. I could claim that, but that's not true.
No, you're close.
So we've been as high as number 6 for business on iTunes. If you look now, we may be 8, 10, 11, somewhere in there. We
Out of what?
Out of
a billion?
a lot of podcasts. The highest I've seen of every podcast was last week. We were 106. So of the millions of podcasts, we are still
That's
pretty close to the top 110.
Nice, give her a round.
It's a little awkward.
Yeah, it's over here, then we'll go over here. Go ahead.
I
Somebody.
was curious if you're going to apply the same idea of social networking in the industry to a different vertical. What's the next?
Do you want to go into a different vertical with the same concepts?
So we thought about it. We've talked about it. That would be a very different business model. We could do it if we wanted to. I truly believe we could do pretty much anything we wanted to do or set our sights to do. We've talked about, hey, maybe we open up biggerpockets.cn, biggerpockets.fr, biggerpockets. Every language, every country. Today, we want to really focus on building what we want to build and crush it for the U.S. And we get traffic from all but Western Sahara. By the way, we have had traffic from North Korea, which is fascinating. That is fascinating.
Real estate investing in
Kim.
Korea.
Well, what's really cool, so we built this community of, I want to take 2 seconds to really talk about the community, if I can, because I'm passionate, and to me, this is why we are who we are today. Bigger Pockets is about an idea. It's about the idea that we can all go out, that every single one of you guys can go out there and build your own source of wealth. And you can all do it through real estate. And it's not going to be easy, and you're not going to, buy a course and get rich tomorrow and have babes in bikinis and, have a jet plane and all that bullshit. But you can build wealth through real estate. And that is not a lie, that is a fact. And there are lots of tactics and techniques to do it, and you just have to learn them, and you just have to get educated, and I press upon everybody to do it because, frankly, the world's a scary place. And so building wealth through real estate is, lots of the millennials in here, well, are we going to have Social Security? What are we going to have? What are we going to do when we're 75, 80 years old? What are we going to survive on? So real estate is a really good way to build wealth. And so we're passionate about it, and our community is passionate about it because we've got this sense of openness. There's no secrets. There's no secrets to doing this. We're all open about it.
You don't have to pay $1.99.
No, you don't have to pay a dollar.
In overshoots.
So through the course, we now have these passionate users all over the planet. We have a group in South Korea. There's a South Korean Bigger Pockets meetup that has 200 people that meets once a month. There's groups all over the planet of people who are on Bigger Pockets that get together on a regular basis to talk about how to build wealth through real estate. And they're open and they're helping each other. They're doing deals, and it's phenomenal. It's become a movement, and that's what I'm so proud of.
It's kind of not to sort of compare what we've done, but it's what the different startup community is about. There was a lot of people that used to. There's a guy. What was his name? He used to charge you, be like, "I'm the entrepreneur coach. Come give me $1,000. I'll teach you how to be an entrepreneur." Like, no, fuck you. We're gonna hold meetups. Come talk to smart people, and you're gonna learn way more than that sort of stuff.
So I ran off with your question over there. I don't really even remember what the question was, but I get kind of passionate in case you can't tell. And by the way, if for those of you, because I know there's a bunch of people who are thinking about starting businesses, who are starting them, or who are starting them, if you do not have what I have, which is that passion for that which you are trying to do, you should stop right now. You should stop right now and thank me later, because you have to have the passion about what you're doing to survive. There will be downtimes, and if you are not passionate about that which you are getting into, you're going to be friggin' miserable.
You're here. Time for 2 more questions.
You alluded to it several times as you were talking about your growth as a company, that you had this great platform, but you needed to attract either content or you needed to attract users, and often you needed to attract both. Did you have any solid strategies or to connect that chicken and egg problem, or was there a specific day that you realized that both the chicken and egg had been connected through your platform?
A fantastic growth question. Content, users, how did you solve that problem?
So the very first users came before content. It was a community. Oh yeah, I created a forum. I was the only member. That was fun.
You remember? I was inside.
I was. So how do I get people to actually answer my questions? That I had to solve without having a guidebook. So I didn't want to go to the communities of people I didn't really like or trust and try and poach people because I thought that was bad form. And I kind of run my business that way all along. Is like do right, do good, and not really stealing the Google's be good or don't be evil, whatever the hell it is. But you know, I'm a very ethical person, and I didn't like that idea. So I would go to ancillary communities. I used to hang out on Webmaster forums, WebPro World, and Webmaster World, and all these other places. And there's people there who are asking questions and talking about in their little off-topic areas about all sorts of stuff about money and real estate and random stuff. I was the guy who was answering those questions. I had a little forum signature link, which pointed back to our site. And that's how I attracted my
That
first
shit
users.
still works. I think
Still
they're
works.
on Reddit.
They do it on our site. They do it on our site today. Yeah,
Still works.
absolutely. So that was how we attracted the first users. From there, you know, I did not spend more. I probably capped out at a couple $100 over 11 years in advertising. I never spent money in advertising until the last year when we finally started to ramp up our ad campaigns. So everything that we've done has been organic. So it wasn't, you know, at a certain point, you know, hey, blogging's working, let's get better at blogging. You know, this is attracting users. We figured out how to convert user from content to social network. Let's keep adding more content. Hey, let's test out the podcast. That's a cool idea. You know, it seems like something interesting. Great. Launch a podcast. Again, this is brand building for us now. This is not, the idea was not, you know, we're going to go and attract millions of new users for a website. This is expand our reach, get our name out, build our brand. Oh wait, we've now solved and realized that our podcast is one of the biggest drivers of paid users to our platform. Now, we're not just sitting there pitching. Our podcast, go ahead and listen to it. It's us. It's an hour to 2 hours of blow your mind, amazing content. It's school. You go to school. And we're asking the questions that you want to ask. You know, we're digging in, we're diving in. So you know, to answer your question, it's all about building content that's relevant to the audience that you're trying to service and producing the best content, because everybody's producing content. Most of the content in most verticals is absolute shit. Most of it is absolute shit. It's not hard to write the best content in your vertical. Look at the shit and do something better. Everything else is out there. You can see what your competitors are doing. It's so bad. It's so bad. Just do it better. Really easy formula.
All right, last question. I mean, so we're over time, and I want to be respectful. Can you hang out after?
I can stay as long as
Okay, cool. So I think it was you had the last question, and then you guys do ask questions. Just come up afterwards. Jay Lee gets a special question. As a sponsor, you get a special answer. No, afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I just was wondering about that decision you made about the person that loved your thing and had gotten rich and everything. What were his skills that made you decide, that consultant decide to have that person? And what did he do that kind of like launched everything after that?
I'm forgetting the book. Get Him on the Bus. What's that book from?
Good to Great.
Good to Great. He was passionate. He could write well, and I wanted to get him on the damn bus. That was it. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how to work with employees. I didn't know what I was doing. But I realized that this guy was an advocate for us and for our brand. This guy didn't need a job. He didn't need to work. And he wanted to work for me. I'd be an idiot not to hire this guy. Got him on the bus. Today, he's one of the most well-known people in the real estate investing space. He's brilliant. He has taught me more than I care to know. I mean, he challenges me every single day, and the beauty is we challenge each other. So, we've kind of developed this relationship where we're both really hungry to build this and to become the greatest platform on the planet for real estate investors. And so we're constantly challenging each other, whether it's, challenging each other with books. Hey, I just read this book and here's some tidbits and you better read it. And, to podcasts or articles or whatever, we're constantly shoving content up each other's backsides and burning each other out and we're pushing each other, and then we go and we hire other people like Scott over here, by the way, 25 years old, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life, one of the most passionate people, and now he's part of that circle, and we're pushing each other with content, information, education, and, how do we get better? How do we be the very, very, very best at everything that we do? If we're all doing that, and we're all gunning for success, we're all gunning for the finish line, we can't lose, and that's what we do. We push each other, and we challenge each other, and we fight. We had a nice little fight today. We argue, we fight, but we don't fight with malice, we fight with love. And so I'm going to push you, you're going to push me, I'm going to respect you, and in the one or two times that it actually got kind of like edging towards potential snippiness, like, hold on, let's slow it down. We're on the same page here. Let's work this and figure it out. And instantly we've done that and get back on page. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I could just kind of talk all night.
I can't think of a better place to stop than that. Like, that's an amazing thing, guys. Warren, thank you so much, Josh. Thank you guys for